Well, good morning everyone, and welcome again to the Principal's Office at GEMS Wellington Academy, Al Kale. This is my first video blog for 2 or 3 weeks because of the half-term break, so I hope all of you are watching who've been on holiday, that you've enjoyed that and spent time with your families. And you'll be aware, I think, that over the half-term break we sent out a survey to our parents just to get some feedback on how they think things are going. You may be aware, or perhaps you aren't if you're new to GEMS, that GEMS do an annual survey at the end of every year. That happens at the end of the summer term, but we wanted to bring that forward, and we want to try and survey our parents a little bit more regularly to get feedback on the things that you're doing well, that we're doing well, and the things that you think we could do a little bit better. So thank you to the parents who took part in that. We had quite a good return, certainly enough returns to make us think that the results are pretty valid. And I thought perhaps in today's video blog I would just give you a little bit of feedback on what you've told us and raise 1 or 2 issues which I think are important. So the kind of headlines really, the one at the top of the list which I've got in front of me here is that parents say 99% of parents say their children are happy at school, which is great, because one of my concerns as an educationalist who's seen a lot over the years is that we test children more than we ever did. It's much more rigorous, and my concern is that school has become more pressurized for children these days. So I think it's really, really important that children are happy. School is meant to be fun, and we want it to be fun here. We want our students to learn, but it should be fun. So we're very happy that our children feel happy. They also feel safe. 98% of you said that your children feel safe at school, and of course that's really, really important. And I know that when I talk to parents, they tell me that their children being happy, being safe and making progress, those are probably the 3 key things that they want from their child's school. So that was great. 94% of you said your children are making good progress, which is, again, fantastic. If you're happy with your child's progress, you're going to be happy generally. So if you put those 3 things together, we have happy children, safe children who are making good progress. So that's great feedback for us to have. Other positive things that came out of this, a lot of comments about improved communication. And I think you know this is something that we've really worked on, because last year people felt communication was not that great. D6 has been a massive step in that direction, and Mr. Matthews has asked me just to remind you once again that you're only going to get information via D6. Okay, as an individual parent you might get an email from a teacher, but generally classes are only going to be communicated to by D6. So if you are not checking D6 regularly, or if you haven't downloaded it, I hope you have all downloaded it. If you haven't downloaded it, you're not going to get information. Okay, so you really need to have that, and you really need to be checking it regularly. I think it's working brilliantly. I also think our Facebook page, I hope you're on that regularly as well, because our Facebook page is absolutely outstanding, and there's some brilliant photos and information on there too. So do keep working on D6, please. A lot of you saying that you've seen a clear progress from last year, both in terms of the way that, not just communication, in terms of the school leadership and the way that we are, the environment of the school. I think you can see that the environment of the inside of the school is changing. That's a very clear strategic thing that we're doing this year to try and make the inside of the school more exciting, more interesting, more stimulating for our students. I do want to say one thing about communication though, which might be a little bit controversial, but I think I really have to kind of meet this head on. And I want to talk about WhatsApp. So I have kind of talked about this before. I want to talk about it again, because communication is 2 ways. So our communication with you and your communication with us. And one of the things that we're finding difficult, and I know by talking to parents that some parents actually don't like, is that WhatsApp groups are being used to air complaints and criticisms, and they're being aired amongst parents, but they're not being brought to the school's attention. And some parents are telling me that they really want to come out of their class WhatsApp group because they really are getting fed up with the constant negativity from a small number of parents who seem to want to use that all the time to air their grievances. And I just want to say that's not what those groups are for. The groups are meant to be supportive, to be able to share information with each other, to check with other parents if there are events coming up. So it's really meant to be a very kind of supportive tool to help parents in a particular class to communicate with each other. It's not meant as a forum for complaints. You know, we have very clear complaints procedure, and of course if you don't make the complaints to us, we can't do anything about it. I also like to remind you of the parent expectations. One of the parent expectations is that your communications with school are respectful and I don't think it is respectful to criticise the school, to criticise individual teachers via WhatsApp, because I don't think that's right. So I would make an appeal to parents, please not to use the WhatsApp groups in that way. Use them positively. Of course, if you've got a complaint, come and talk to the relevant person. But please be aware that we won't necessarily act on every complaint. We'll listen to every complaint, and where we think there is something we can do, we certainly will, but we can't always do that. So I just want to put that out there. I hope that will be taken in the spirit in which it's intended. We want to have really good communication, but that really has to work both ways. So there we are. A little bit about WhatsApp. Just a couple of other things that came out of this which I like, some improvements in Arabic. And this is something which personally I feel very strongly about. I line manage the Arabic and Islamic department, so I'm working really closely with them. I've done 2 training sessions with them this term already, and as I think I've said before, Miss Habiba and I went to a lot of trouble in watching a lot of demo lessons before we appointed the staff we have, and we think we've got some fantastic teachers. And I can tell you that, having observed all the teachers in the Arabic and Islamic department in the first half of term, the feedback on the lessons was very, very positive. One outstanding lesson, several very good lessons as well. So the quality of what we're doing is great, and I'm glad that you're seeing that, and that's being fed back to you by your children. I think one area perhaps where we do need to communicate more clearly is in home learning. So only 87% of you think that we offer strategies and opportunities for families to support their children in home learning. And I know some of you are still finding the new home learning policy in primary a little bit difficult to understand. We've tried to change this to allow students to really select their own home learning a little bit more, so that they're all doing something which is going to challenge them. So we're working on that. I know Mr. Cooper is working on parental engagement to be able to explain this more clearly. So we hope that we'll be able to improve in that area. So there we are. I think that's most of what came out of that. There are 1 or 2 other things as well, but those are really the headlines. 92% of you said that you were satisfied with the school, which is great. So we'd like to get that up, obviously, to near 100%, but I think we can see some definite progress from the feedback at the end of last year compared with now. So you will get another survey, perhaps early next term. I encourage as many of you who are watching this who are our parents to respond to that, because we really want to get your feedback. So thank you again for watching. Have a good weekend, and as ever, I'll see you again next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.